Hey everyone, my name is Cole Evans. I'm one of the owners at HEG, and we're up here running Crystal Lake's Newmont Lake project here in 2019. It's a beautiful afternoon, September 4th, and we're up at a showing we call Green Rock, part of the larger Burgundy trend, to explain to you today a little bit more about the press release that came out this morning for Crystal Lake and what all these technical terms mean for those of us that might not be as familiar with ore deposits and geology. Here at Green Rock, we're down on the southern end of mineralization that we can see on surface as part of a larger 2.3 kilometer trend. If we were to go look over my shoulder and head about 2.3 kilometers to our northeast, we get to an area we call 72, where we see a lot of synonymous mineralization is where we do here, with that high-grade copper, gold, and silver skarn adjacent to a larger porphyry deposit and indications of a porphyry deposit on surface. So what is a porphyry deposit and what is a skarn and how are they related? And, people ask me that a lot. So I want you to think of a porphyry as a mass of hot rock that is slowly intruding up into the earth, and with that heat is driving a lot of what we call hydrothermal fluids. And hydrothermal, think of hydro as water, thermal, heat, hot water, that's all it means. But this hot water is containing all the metals from our source magma and intrusions and a bunch of different sources. And what happens is these hydrothermal fluids, they come up and they get in contact with our limestone body. And think of limestone, which is this white rock you can see in behind me here, as basically like a filter. And when these fluids hit this area or hit this high carbonate area, they're going to want to have the tendency to precipitate or drop out the metals that they're carrying and form all these sulfide minerals that we mine and produce all the metals that we use today. And that's exactly what our skarn environment is. It's where these fluids are accumulating over time and precipitating, or like I use that filter analogy, the filter's filtering out the metal and keeping it there. And that's where we get these high-grade corridors within our larger mineralized porphyry system. So why are these high-grade skarns important in that bigger system? Well, for that exact reason. As everyone knows, grade is king. And when we're talking about these large deposits and where we are in the world, we need to have that high-grade component to make it mineable, to make it feasible, because these are expensive to build, as everybody knows. The fact that we have that here on surface is what makes this area so special. When you compare it with a lot of other projects and deposits around, lots of your best grade is way at depth. And that becomes really expensive to get to, and different mining techniques to get to it. So the fact that we have our high-grade sweetener, for lack of a better way of putting it, here at surface is really exciting. And then you start multiplying that over the area that we see it, and it really puts the whole picture together of how large the greater system is, how large our porphyry system is, to be able to drive this kind of mineralization over this big of an area. You might be able to hear the buzzing behind me, and that's the sound of a diamond drill rig turning up here, as everybody knows, for the first time ever this season. And in fact, the first ever holes at all were RC holes back here in October 2018, which we were really fortunate to do. As far as I know, there's very few places in the world, frankly, that show this kind of surface mineralization and alteration and the kind of rocks that we have that have never been touched before. So that was something that we really wanted to be involved with and why we're here. And as that's developed, and you can see scrolling through the press release here that there's been a lot of new showings discovered, and it's really hard to put into paper exactly how rapidly this is progressing. You can see in the green, as we talked about, the green rock to the south, and the rock islands 1 and 2, as we call them, and you'll see in the image it looks like snow, and I think that's sort of a testament just to how quickly we're seeing new exposure within this whole trend, and just in those little spots. So if you could be here up with me today hiking around, you'd see these now large outcrops being exposed at surface, where we're again seeing our hypogene mineralization. And that's what you can see in the two photos citing those areas below. So when you look at Rock Island 1, you can see those large blebs of chalcopyrite, and that's within a larger hematite and potassium feldspar altered porphyritic syenite that we see there, driving a greater stockwork, chalcopyrite stockwork system, as well as when we get into Rock Island 2, which that rock on there, you know, you might not be able to, you got to zoom in and have a really good look at it. It's one of my favorite rocks up here. And why? Because what's it show us? It's that megacrystic syenite, very geologically similar to the kind of rocks that we'd see if we were to head 30 kilometers to the northwest, up to, of course, the world-class Galore Creek deposit. Fortunately, we're much closer to infrastructure down where we are in the power plants and roads and things further east here. But those rocks are really critical, and what you can see there, besides the obvious mineralization, is that alteration. And you'll see that, like we said, that K feldspar, that potassium feldspar alteration, that's that indicator of that heat that we talk about that's so critical with these porphyry systems. Our potassium builds up towards the center, where we get our highest grades in these copper gold systems. So the fact that we're starting to see that outcropping right on surface, just on these pods of rock that get larger and larger by the day, it's really exciting and really encouraging for how that entire system loops together, because we see the exact same rocks throughout Burgundy, all these new showings heading all the way up to 72, where we've been drilling as well. And as you scroll through, notice that the fact that we have that here, with our multiple alteration assemblages, our widespread mineralization, which is quite obvious on surface, and with our first diamond drill holes, able to get all of our visual indicators as to, we're also seeing them at depth as well. So it's a really big puzzle to all put together, but the fact that it's coming together so quickly and just within the first couple holes is really exciting, and I couldn't be more happy about it.